Hi, welcome to the Getting Started video for problem 10 of ants. So we want to make it more interesting. We want to add water to our game. So currently we only have two types of places, hive and just like a basic place. But to make things more interesting, we're going to create a new type of place that we call water. So only an insect that's waterproof can survive in water, and we want to figure out if an insect is waterproof or not. So we're going to create a new attribute to tell if they're waterproof. So yeah, let's dive into this. So we want to create a new class attribute in the insect class. And we're going to initially set this to false. So essentially what we're saying is that originally all insects are like not waterproof. So we're gonna to override or to create a class attribute, we're going to go to our insect class and we're going to create that attribute. So we're going to create is waterproof. And remember that it's set to false. Okay, cool. So we've created our attribute. Let's see what we want to do next. Well, since bees can fly, they are waterproof, right? They can avoid water. So we're going to set the is waterproof attribute to true. So let's go to our bee class. Okay, so you see we have this section right here for overriding class attributes. So let's override it. So we're going to override our is waterproof. And remember that this attribute right here is waterproof is going to be inherited. And that's because bee inherits from insect. So originally is waterproof is set to true because that's what we did in, or sorry, is waterproof is set to false because that's what we set it to an insect. But we want bees to be waterproof. So we're going to set it to true here. Okay, so our class attributes should be fine. Now let's move on to the next step. So the next thing we want to do is we want to implement add insect. So this is a method within the water class. So essentially what we want to try to do is we want to add the insect to our water place, or to the spot on the board. We don't care yet about if it's waterproof or not, but we're just going to add it. If the insect is not waterproof, we want to reduce the insect's health to 0. So essentially the insect is going to die. Rest in peace. So let's figure out how we want to do this. Okay. And what was this method called? Okay, add insect. And it was in our water method or our water class. Okay. There we go. Okay, so essentially we have two steps, right? The first is that we want to add our insect. So let's think about this. What method do we currently have that allows us to add an insect to a spot? And notice that like our add insect method takes an insect. So what method can we use that will add a given insect, in this case insect, to our place? I'll let you to think about that, but as long as we call that method, we can assume that we added the insect to the place correctly. Then our second step is that we want to check if the insect is waterproof. If it's not waterproof, then sadly our insect is not really going to be alive anymore. Essentially, if it's not waterproof, we want our health to be equal to 0. So I'm going to ask you another question. What method do we currently have that can reduce an insect's health to 0? What method can we use for this? Okay, so essentially this is the outline of our problem. And just to recap what we did, we wanted to determine if an insect was waterproof or not, if it can survive in water. So we created an attribute to tell us that. If an insect's is waterproof attribute is set to true, then it is waterproof. And if an insect's is waterproof attribute is set to false, then it's not waterproof. So that could be really helpful for checking if the insect is waterproof or not. Then we want to be able to add that insect to a water place, essentially. So we want to add our insect. And like I said, let's figure out what method we can use for that, and that will really help you out. Once we add our insect, we want to check if the insect is waterproof or not. And that's where the attribute we created comes in handy. If it's not waterproof, then we want to reduce that insect's health to 0. And once again, I'm going to ask you, what method can we use for this? And that's pretty much it. If the insect is waterproof, we don't have to do anything. We only need to reduce its health in the case that it's not waterproof. So hopefully this helps you with the problem, and good luck.